am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
Welcome to Prattle World. I'm your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And I'm back today, once again, for the final day of the Forbidden World Film Festival 2024. And what an amazing day it was. Just when I thought I was too tired to carry on, they spur me on, give me boundless energy yet again. Just when I'm dipping, they bring me back to life, resuscitated with more passion than I've had before. Again, another excellent day. Again, I can't reiterate how good this event is, the audiences, the content, the organizers. Everything is just firing on all cylinders. There's a sense of fun and camaraderie and a welcoming vibe. If you've ever wanted to be a part of something like this is the festival for you. If you like your genre films, if you like exploitation, if you like big blockbusters you'd like to see on a giant IMAX screen, some of your favorite films, come down and see it, if not next year. They are doing a horror event in October, the big Scream, so keep your eye open for that. Tickets will go on sale a little close to the time, and the announcements of what's on and all the various things and business associates and partnerships that Forbidden Worlds have, you will know about it. So sign up to the newsletter on their website and you can keep up to date, get those early bird tickets, the ones I missed out on. Just absolutely get involved. Follow them on social media. All the links are in the show notes and everything. So yeah, support them any way you can. They would really appreciate it. Like I said, it's only growing. Let's spread that word of mouth about how good this is and how positive the experience has been for everybody. I can't think of anyone that said a bad word about the festival itself or, the lineup. You'll have obviously your own opinions about the various films and their levels of quality, but that's your own personal preference. But I'm glad the selection I thought was excellent this year, much like last year, very entertaining. Some of these films play so well with a crowd, especially some of the ones that the festival ended this year on. So yeah, enough about that though. Let's talk about today. So today was the Great Bristol Run, as it's called. I am situated in the Ibis Hotel, which is about maybe a 5-minute walk or 2.5-minute walk. Depends how briskly you walk to places, but it's not very far at all. Just a few, I'd say maybe 100, 150 yards, maybe something like that. I'm not good with measurements either. But I was going to go meet some friends. I met some friends for a curry last night. I was going to meet them again for brunch, but again, I had to record a podcast and I spent some time editing, got to get my breakfast, get myself washed and cleaned, ready for a new day and prepared for the long and glorious day that Forbidden Worlds Festival has. And I walked outside, completely forgot. Again, Forbidden Worlds let people know. I got an email about it because I'm on the newsletter. There was various social media posts. So I knew this was happening, but I still forgot. So I didn't hear anything outside. I think the soundproofing must be pretty good in this hotel because I had no idea. I didn't hear any noises outside while I was recording or anything. So I was like, just carry on. I do have headphones on when I record, so that might be the reason. But the second I stepped outside, it was just a swarm of people. I don't mind crowds. I'm pretty good in crowds for the most part, but this was like too much even for me. I was like, this is full on. Like, who likes running this much? Who likes doing that? But yeah, thousands. It must have been thousands of people I saw literally outside the doorstep of the hotel. Even the hotel were kind of just absolutely inundated with guests and people, and they closed all the roads. So me trying to get to this brunch was pretty much impossible because not only were my maps not working, the internet wasn't working, I just couldn't get a cab to save my life. So all the main roads that I needed to cross were part of the run. And the first film was Innerspace, and I made a decision. I was like, right, do I go to the brunch? I think that's probably a no-go. I can still get my paid breakfast here at the Ibis. I'll grab that. Then what do I do? Now, Innerspace is on quite quickly. So it was I'd had about an hour maybe to make that decision, and I decided in the end not to see it. Innerspace, I'll talk about very shortly. But then later on, I did see the second film and all the other films for the rest of the day, all the other different events and scheduling in the event. So yeah, I gave that one a miss. I'd seen it before. I love it. It's great fun. But yeah, I just made that decision. I thought, why not just be practical, get some editing done, get some food in, get ready, and then I'll come and see the next film. So yeah, Innerspace is a great. There was even an introduction by Joe Dante, which he did the introduction last year for Gremlins 2 as well. Absolute legend. Came up through Roger Corman, and a lot of the filmmakers featured in these festivals are. They were discovered, like James Cameron from last year, and they've all kind of came up from the same kind of Roger Corman school of filmmaking kind of thing. So, and I don't know if I mentioned it on the Foxy Brown, but they did have a little kind of memorial image and quotes from Jack Hill and Pam Grier. Foxy Brown and Pam Grier, they're the same person. No, from Pam, and talking about how wonderful he was, and yeah, it was really nice. I thought it was a nice little nod, considering it only happened like I think last week. He passed away sadly, so it was a good little addition and kind of respect to someone who made so many impactful and important films and decisions, and taught people like Martin Scorsese and all those other people I mentioned, Francis Ford Coppola, how to do what they do. And I think he said, if you work for me once, then you'll never have to work for me again, hopefully, if you do a good job, which I think is absolutely right. But yes, wonderful, wonderful guy. Again, not perfect, but who is? We're all human. But you can look into that if you want. But yeah, on the whole, Roger Corman had a huge impact on cinema in general. So yeah, Innerspace it's a fun, it's a miniaturization film, so it's a shrinking film, like a Fantastic Voyage or Ant-Man, or but it's very tongue in cheek. It's it's silly, it's ludicrous, and apparently it was initially a very serious script, and Joe Dante was like, that's not going to work. That isn't going to happen. No one's going to buy this. They're just going to laugh. I'm a big fan of Martin Short as well. Meg Ryan is in this. And I think Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan met on this film and got together and had their child, who is now in The Boys, and he's great. Jack Quaid, I think his name is. But yeah, just a wonderful, campy kitsch. Robert Picardo plays a cowboy character in it. I remember him being particularly hilarious. I've not seen it for a little while, but I do remember a lot of the scenes, and Martin Short absolutely just being his most kind of Jim Carrey, I guess. There's a lot of kind of slapstick, and he's very neurotic and anxiety ridden, but he has to fight all these kind of terrorists and people trying to get at Dennis Quaid and this miniaturization technology, this shrinking technology, and he can do certain things while in the body, like he can stimulate this, change his appearance, or make him change his reflexes and alter them in certain ways. But there's a lot of fun to it. I'm not a big fan of Dennis Quaid. I don't know, there's something about him I just never kind of gelled with entirely. I'm not sure. I just I don't actively hate him, but there's just something I never really kind of bought into. I'm not sure why, but I don't dislike him as a person or as an actor. I don't know. There's just something, I don't know. It's just some internal thing where I'm like, not really. I don't know, but I actually don't mind him in Innerspace. I think maybe because it's not entirely focused on him. It's more of an ensemble piece. Maybe I'm I'm not sure, but again, I don't have any reasoning for this. It's just there's just something, I don't know, that I never really kind of gelled with him or his performances or his other roles. Maybe I haven't seen him in enough stuff. I don't know, but I kind of I can't say why I dislike him or not dislike him or his performances. But yeah, it's just a general vibe. I never really vibed with his performances. Again, not to say he's bad or a bad person or a bad actor, but I don't know, just something there with me. But despite that, I think Innerspace is hilarious. It's fun. It's wacky. It's heartfelt. Again, I think it's another classic from Joe Dante. You know, it's absolutely kind of what it says on the tin. Yeah, some really touching moments like when Meg Ryan kisses Martin Short and miniature module into her body, and then he sees his child within her body. I think that was a really touching and beautiful, kind of almost like Space Odyssey type moment, 2001 Space Odyssey. Yeah, really, some really nice visuals, nice comedy. Yeah, just lots of fun. If you haven't seen it, go out and watch it. But yeah, know what you're going in for. But yeah, I think films like Ant-Man owe a lot to something like Innerspace. You know, there's a lot, and I guess the idea of shrinking is a silly and bizarre concept. So I guess you would have to kind of play with more of the comedy angle of it. But yeah, I don't think you necessarily get an Ant-Man without something like Innerspace. Definitely, I think it owes a lot to Innerspace, that particular movie, and I'm sure Edgar Wright is a fan of Joe Dante, and I'm sure he's a fan of Innerspace. He originally wrote that. He was going to do Ant-Man, and then it got taken over and altered. He was still served as producer on it, but yeah, it wasn't quite the film he wanted to make at that point, so that's why he stepped away. But I would have liked to have seen that version, personally. I would have liked to have seen that, but Marvel have a way of doing things, for better or for worse. You know, it works or it doesn't work at times. See Love and Thunder for that example. But yeah, really, really cool, fun film. But let's talk about the next one. So this was The Devil's Sword, which is an Indonesian film. It's getting a 2K release from, I want to say, TerraVision, I think. And then they got the Forbidden Worlds got to do the premiere of this Indonesian film, and it's a fantasy kind of a martial arts epic. I think it's from 1984, I want to say. But yeah, it's basically about a magic sword that everybody's after, and there's this cruel white crocodile demon queen who wants to enslave lots of men and have sex with them, make them their sex slaves, and then also gain this magical sword with this incredible power. I will say, like, Devil's Sword was an interesting one because it wasn't quite bad enough to be so good it's bad, but it wasn't quite good enough to be like good or great. So it's kind of also I thought it might be a bit crazier as well. I was kind of hoping it was a bit crazier, but I will say the action choreography is really good considering it's a mid-80s Indonesian film. They do go on a bit long, some of the fight sequences. And the special effects are fun. There's some great moments where a guy gets kicked into a tree, and then the same guy kicks a spear into the guy that's just flying into that tree. There's flying rocks that people are riding on, like Goku in Dragon Ball. There's crocodile men attacking people and diving in, getting eaten up, and dance sequences that kind of happen out of nowhere. The hero sensei, has his legs poisoned. There's a scene of the hero cutting his mentor's legs off. It's mental. It is absolutely mental, but not quite as mental as I was hoping, or quite as bad as I was hoping, or quite as good as I was hoping. It's a weird one. It kind of falls in between a lot of things. I'm so glad they put it on. I'm so glad I saw it, but there was, I don't know, there was a middle ground to it where I was kind of like, if it was just a touch to one side, you know, if the needle moved to one side either way, I think I would have enjoyed it more. But yeah, there was some great there were some great lines in it as well. Like, "You are a filthy slave of electry." That was my favorite line. And yeah, the crowd were loving it. Again, like the crowd is seeing these films, like watching them on your own is a different experience on the small screen to watching it in a crowd. I talked about that last year when I watched Assault from Precinct 13 again, and said how much more I enjoyed it in the crowd and appreciated it, not being distracted on my phone or anything like that. And it's a living, breathing symbiosis of film and audience, which I feel like we don't get as much nowadays because of, again, I talked about it, it's just the way cinemas are and the way cinema audiences are. It's strange. I used to see that a lot in theatre as well, because people wouldn't go out to the theatre very much. I did a play years ago where it wasn't even a play. It was a kind of a church pantomime for kids kind of thing. It was a musical. So they were doing Sweeney Todd. And I was, my friend was directing, and he asked if I would be a heckler. And then the idea was the heckler would be brought on stage and then offed. They had a spinning chair mechanism where they'd slice my throat, and then I'd disappear, and another chair would appear again without me on it, or the same chair. I can't remember. But it was a wonderful little device, and I had a lot of fun. I was planted. It was it was an audience reaction thing. It was quite funny though, because the director's brother thought I was for real. Like I was saying, like I was insulting them. And again, it was all very PG insults and things, knowing the audience and stuff. And and yeah, it was great fun. But when one of the children came on, the mother of the child had like it was a sporting event, and they had a sign, and they were like, "Whoa, wow, wow," and it was like, that's not what you do in the theatre. But again, that's part and parcel of, unfortunately, the lack of funding for the arts, the lack of, people are less aware of the etiquette, I think, unfortunately. And yeah, it was kind of a bit like, this is really like, I was playing a pretend disruptor of the play, but that mum, in a positive way, was disrupting the play as well. But yeah, nobody else did that. But yeah, I don't know if maybe she knew that and was still like, I love my daughter, she's so good. And again, there's nothing wrong with supporting your child and being proud of them, but it was just like, I just remember it being like a bit full on and a bit awkward, and he was not, the director, my friend, was not pleased with that. And I don't even know if they said, again, with Forbidden Worlds, there's a set number of rules and things. But again, that's another thing. But the audience here are always fully on board, always laughing and joking, and making comments, not like talking incessantly throughout or anything, but there is something to it. There is something there, and it's a genuine. There's a genuine feeling, and again, it is. I think Renny Harlin was saying in his introduction to Long Kiss Goodnight how it's a different experience, and that the communal experience is something you can't replicate any other way. And again, like in a play, you don't, there's a wonder and a magic to it that is not, you can't replicate, as I said. But yeah, The Devil's Sword, it is fun. It is it's interesting. I mean, check out the new release by TerraVision when it comes out, when it's available. I think it's 2K or 4K restoration, so it looks pretty good. And yeah, there are some really good fight sequences and some very inventive kind of kills. A lot of beheadings, if you like that sort of thing. But yeah, almost everyone has martial arts training. Even the most unusual looking people in the film, you're like, they won't do any martial arts in this film, and then they do. And it's kind of almost like you've got a hero who's kind of just a wandering kind of Kane from Kung Fu type, just traveling around and righting wrongs. But the main villains go into this village and kidnap the husband of the village elder's daughter who they're going to marry. And because she's marrying him, it takes the deal is the Demon Queen can't have any taken men. It's only single men. And they're like, well, you're marrying the most eligible bachelor in the village, and he's really not. He's really not. All fair play to the actor and everything, but they've cast somebody who I think he has one line. I think it's literally at the end of the film. And again, it's kind of that age old version of, like, the damsel in distress has no agency, and they kind of flip it, which is cool. Like the female lead is an excellent martial artist, I think, and has like gumption and drive and determination. And I think it's quite rare to see that not only in the 80s but also in Indonesia as well. Like she's there's some great female martial artists in it. Again, like, you can question the editing or the writing choices and everything, but I think the martial arts for a low budget Indonesian film from the mid 80s, I thought was pretty good. I was really impressed with that. But yeah, it's a very much a curio, and I'm glad again that they dug that out and said, let's have a look at this crazy film. And yeah, it was crazy in a lot of ways, and yeah, maybe it was more crazy. I might have enjoyed it more, but I'm still very, very glad I saw it, as it was an experience unto itself. But next up, so we had our short film competitions yesterday, and all the entrants, and I talked about them as well. I didn't have the directors' names, but I have them now. So I spoke about Kin, which was directed by James Waterhouse. I talked about Echoes of Ecstasy, the Passcode Paradox. That's by Jericho Rock Archer. Badger was by Barry Wilkinson. Welcome to the Party, directed by Jack Downs. A Walk in the Park, directed by Jay Marks. And then Only Yourself to Blame, directed by Numi Yates. So today yesterday we had another selection of films. So the first one was Don't Fuck with Dolphins by Nick Hearn. So this is it was created via the Unreal Engine. So it's all CG, computer animated, and it's pretty mad. It's really crazy, off the wall insanity. They're talking about. I think they're talking. There's a kind of an environmental message, but all of a sudden, I think someone's littering, and then all of a sudden these dolphins come out of nowhere and basically have katanas and AK-47s and just literally destroying everything. Again, there's an environmental message here, of course. There's a starfish who's like their boss and got a tash and a cap and sunglasses. And they're all talking. But yeah, it's absolutely insane, that one. Crazy film. Like it blows your kind of senses completely. And then the next one was Another Day in Buenos Aires by Cameron Medford Hawkins. So this is kind of like a mystical sci-fi post-apocalyptic western. It almost felt more so like a concept or proof of concept for maybe a TV show, or like a teaser or a sizzle reel a little bit. It still works as a short film, don't get me wrong, but there's there's songs sung by various people, and there's kind of introductions of characters, kind of a theme song, and yeah, it seems like there's going to be, the way it's presented seems more like it's going to be a TV show as opposed to a short film, which again, not a bad thing. And I liked it. I thought the music was great. And again, the actors who are playing the characters are also singing the songs. Really kind of moody. There's a bit of a kind of a noir-esque flavor to it as well, the kind of jazzy bars and things like that, and kind of femme fatales. And yeah, it's the kind of magical kind of aspects aren't really explained all too much. But again, I mean, what magic thing ever makes sense in any film, really? And the logic behind that. But yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. Some great performances and some real grizzled looking kind of actors. And again, like, that's the point. They're supposed to look quite, it's a Western, so everyone's going to look like they've kind of lived a hard life. And yeah, they absolutely do. And yeah, there's some kind of moral choices they have to make, and but yeah, really, 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 really good. Just brilliant little short film. The high quality. Like I said, it looks like a TV show. Like it could be on TV right now. That's how strong the quality is for that one. Then we got the Hounds of Anwin, which is a kind of Welsh folklore tale of this young kind of knight or squire in Wales who is stabbed and then is kind of hunted by these hounds initially, and it looks quite menacing, but in the end it's kind of more so that I think they're guiding him to the afterlife or to another kind of dimension or area where there's a kind of a fairy king. Wonderfully animated. I'll be honest, it got my vote for the audience vote, that one, because I thought it was wonderful. I thought, it's very rare you see anything about Wales or Welsh folklore. It reminded me of Wolf Walkers. If you've seen Wolf Walkers, it's very, very, it's animated in a similar way. It has that, kind of exploring folklore. So yeah, I got a lot of vibes from that, and I think Wolf Walkers is excellent. So it's something I have to give to that particular film. But yeah, really, really good. And then we had The Hitman and the Assassin, Hounds of Anwin was directed by Beth B. Hughes and Bryony Evans. The Hitman and the Assassin is directed by Will Aztec, and Jonathan Chong. So this is a martial arts kind of comedy, hitman, assassin, again, like action. Basically, there's a guy who's tied up, he's taken a hostage, and this guy's going to kill him and make money off it. But then someone else turns up and says, no, I've got to kill him and make money off it. So they fight, and they decide to have the spar for 3 rounds. And during that, the guy escapes, and they have to kind of team up and hunt him down. There's a lot of humor to it, and I think the choreography, again, is very, very strong. And yeah, I quite enjoyed that one as well. Yeah, just really, really top quality kind of martial arts. Again, choreography is really there. And yeah, another great short film. Again, all of these films have been really strong. I think there was 45, I believe, that were selected initially or entered, and 12 were picked. And absolutely, all of these short films have been bangers in their own right. Absolutely, all deserving of their own kind of laurels and awards and what have you. So yeah, check them all out if they're available online. So yeah, just Google them. I don't have the links at the moment. I'm not sure if some of these films are available just yet. I know the final one isn't available just yet, but more to that in a second. And then we have 3 Baths, which is by Rafael de Leon Jr. And it's a kind of a haunting horror movie. A young lady keeps seeing a strange man, a suited man with his skin all kind of demonic and horrible with weird fingernails. And she stabs her eye out to stop seeing him. And then this, let's say, spiritual woman says that she has to have these 3 specific baths. And once she's had these 3 specific baths, she should no longer see the demonic man anymore. She goes through it. She does the first one, still sees him. Does the second one, still sees him. And her sister's trying to help her. And then the third one, still sees him, and I'm sure you can imagine where it goes from there. But yeah, very creepy, spooky. Again, quite a vague one, but in a good way. It's not it's deliberately vague as opposed to being annoyingly vague. But again, it works. I think there's tension, there's spooky atmosphere, there's some humor to it as well, some black humor. And yeah, another good shout. Now, this next one is called Lost in Sky, and it's directed by Simon Oster. And this is basically, there'll be like, if you see it online, you see it wherever, it's kind of basically kind of WALL-E to a degree. The design of this little robot is like WALL-E, and he's searching for companionship and humans. He's on a rescue ship, and he's looking for survivors in space. And he's a really sensitive, sweet robot, and he's desperate to find someone and be a hero. There's a picture on the wall of a fireman, and he's put his face on the fireman because he wants to save humans. That's what his programming says. But yeah, wonderful little film. Now it was created with no use of CGI. It's another animated film. But I mean, animated. It's animated, so there's no. It's all practical, is what I mean to say. So all the effects in camera, practical effects. The space images were used by kind of putting basically a fish tank, and then putting certain colors and affecting that. And yeah, it's astounding. It's absolutely astounding. Visually, it just looks so arresting, so arresting. And yeah, there will be some comparisons to Wall-E, but in a good way, I think. And yeah, the fact that they didn't use the fact that they can make a Wall-E film, like a Pixar CG style film, make it look as good as Wall-E, but without using any CGI, any computer generated images, is astounding. It is astounding. It's incredible, and that is, probably why they saved the best till last, arguably, just because there's something wonderful about the preparation. I think they're going to release some videos about how they actually made it, but in an AI driven creative sphere at the moment, it's so refreshing to hear that people don't want to do that. They don't want to do the computer generated images. Again, there's nothing wrong with computer generated images, don't get me wrong, but the fact that this took them 6 years as well. This is a labor of love. It's not something they just went, we'll do it in a weekend. They took hours and hours and days and months and years to perfect this. And it shows on screen. Like every moment, minute, every effect, everything is there. Character, narrative, emotional beats, you name it, it's all there up on the screen. And again, it's incredible to see what they accomplished with, again, all of these films are like zero budget, micro budget, a lot of people helping them out. And it's incredible what they all achieved. But this one probably, I think, arguably took the longest to prepare, but also gets the results it needed. So I'm glad it took the time that it did to get the results that they wanted. So they did announce the awards yesterday. So I will let you know what those are when I open up my notes. So they had several different categories. So best action short. So they decided to go with Kin. So again, Kin was directed by James Waterhouse. They did a little video to kind of show their thanks and appreciation of getting the award. I have to agree. I think that one was the best action short. I think just everything about it was like I said yesterday, wonderful. And then the next one was best horror short. And again, another film from yesterday, Only Yourself to Blame. Again, very powerful and dramatic and very relevant film with what it was touching on, as I mentioned yesterday. And then the last three awards were Best Sci-Fi, Best Overall, and Audience Choice Awards. And much like I said, Lost in Sky won all of those for those same reasons that I've spoke about. All those three awards they won. So again, well done to the director Simon Oster and everybody involved, and everyone involved in Only Yourself to Blame and Kin. All of my arguably my favorites anyway from the bunch. They didn't get my Audience Choice Awards, but no, but yeah, I can't disagree with the judges' decisions on those because they were, and the audience as well. I absolutely can't disagree with that. But moving on, that was the short films. Again, a wonderful addition to the festival. I'm so glad they included it because I think we should support new creators, new filmmakers, new talent when we can. But I like the blending of both the kind of classic stuff and seeing the genre stuff and then still seeing the new stuff as well. So excellent work by all of them. Next up, in the festival was Time Cop by Peter Hyams, again, his last film of the festival. And yeah, it's a banger, guys. I enjoy Time Cop. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme. One of his better, I think one of his better films, actually. One of Jean-Claude's, it's got the kind of a lot of depth to it. It's got, if you're looking for another Jean-Claude Van Damme, and there's two versions of him, which seems to be his, I don't know, his kink, because he's still like, there's a Double Impact and The Replicant, and I'm sure there's some others where he has doubles of himself in the same film. But yeah, and this is kind of one of those. Again, it's a comic book movie. It's based on a Dark Horse comic book, which I forgot about, which the writer did the screenplay for as well, which is interesting. Ron Silver again shows up from Blue Steel as Senator McComb. Again, another slimy corporate style villain. Again, very much in line with the kind of characters he's played before. But yeah, it basically is about Jean-Claude Van Damme loses his wife in a violent act and is hired by a time travel company to stop people going back in time and creating ripples that will detrimentally affect the future or wipe out all of existence potentially, because time travel technology is shown to be almost like it's like an arms race. So that, like, you know, they're like, oh, the Iraqis have gone back and you know, Iraqi terrorists have gone back and already done this, and there's been people stealing gold from the Confederate Army back during the Civil War so they could sell it and use it. Mostly it's about people making money and funding and, you know, stuff like that, which Capricorn 1 was about as well, which makes sense because that again was Peter Hyams, wasn't it? So it's clearly something he likes exploring, the kind of corporate political side of military funding and where that's going, or not military necessarily, but just funding in general. And yeah, I think it's great. I think the action sequences are great. Jean-Claude delivers some absolutely banging lines. The crowd, again, was absolutely loving it. I think every time he spoke or delivered a line, people were just chuckling away at Jean-Claude's acting, let's say. But yeah, you know that there's that great line. I think Nolan North does impressions of it all the time. He's like, "There's never enough time to satisfy a woman." You know, it's quite funny. But yeah, some absolute, you know, one-liners up the wazoo. Great action sequences. The special effects, I think, hold up pretty well, apart from the one at the end. But again, I won't spoil that for you. But it's a great action film. I think it's got a good narrative. It's got, I think Jean-Claude is a presence on screen. You know, he might not be an actor, arguably, but he is definitely a movie star. I will say that he's a film star, you know. And he pulled in, you know, a lot of money. Like Sudden Death they did after this, so Peter Hyams must like him a little bit, or he wouldn't have worked with him again so soon afterwards. Yeah, straight no nonsense guys, I believe, but yeah, they seem to get on. And yeah, Mia Sara's in it, and she's stunning and wonderful actress as well. Yeah, it's great fun, and I think it was a really good warm up for the last film of the night, which was The Long Kiss Goodnight. I've covered this before. I'll leave a link in the show notes, but it's one of my favorite films. It's one of my go-tos when people are like, "Oh, is there like a cult film you should watch?" Or, you know. And again, on this channel, we do alternativity stories where we do alternative holiday movies, so New Year's, Christmas, you know, Hanukkah, all those kind of things we celebrate. But again, it's not quote unquote a Christmas movie or what you consider a Christmas movie. It's alternative. So I picked this one a few years ago and I covered it with Matt, and I think I'm pretty sure I suggested it maybe last year. Again, I'm not going to take credit to say they put it on the docket because I suggested it. I don't think that's the case, but I like to think I kind of did a bit of an Inception thing and hopefully floated that idea across. But also, I was kind of like, we need another Renny Harlin intro, because that one went on for, I think it went on for about 15 minutes or something last time, and it wasn't edited. It was just the full thing, and it's now kind of become a running gag in the festival because he absolutely his intro stole the show really, because he was like, I don't want to keep you too long, and then proceeded to go on for another, 10-15 minutes. he's like me. He's the Prattle world. He should have the hashtag prepare for Prattle. I think me and Renny Harlin, we get on a lot. I think he's a cool guy, and he's made some wonderful and entertaining films. And yeah, fingers crossed they do another. Let's have another Renny Harlin. I think I was speaking to a man called David yesterday, and he suggested Deep Blue Sea, and I went, that would go down well with a crowd, with an audience, I think. So So I'm gonna incept that idea into, or maybe Cutthroat Island. Maybe I think that would be a fun one, and probably one a lot of people haven't seen as well. So those are my suggestions. I mean, Die Hard 2 is good as well, and but I think those would be more interesting choices for the festival. But again, he did do an intro for this. Not only did Renny Harlin do an intro, but we got and again, this text comes up, and they go, because there was a very hard cut during his intro, and they were like, and there's some text comes up. No, we know what you're thinking. This is a little bit short for a Renny Harlin intro. And Renny Harlin, and there's text saying like, I think I did it 2 years ago, the introduction for Cliffhanger, and they were like, it was last year, Renny. So yeah, they're having a lot of fun, and it's kind of like an in joke now, and yeah, it was wonderful, and. Again, that's that. Unfortunately, when you dip out of certain screenings, that's what's so special about the event as well. And so the unaltered 26-minute version of his intro, which I've still yet to watch, is on YouTube now available. And I can't wait. I think I'm going to wait till I get home and stick that on because, just wonderful, wonderful stuff. We got an introduction from Yvonne Zima as well, who plays Gina Davis's daughter in the film, which was really cool. And she talked about how it's technically a Christmas film and how to, if you're sick of all the Christmas stories, this is the one to put on at Christmas. So yeah, a really cool little. Just a little kind of like, oh yeah, I know it's a Christmas movie. I did it for Christmas, so that was a nice little nod. I thought she was really. What's good is about Forbidden Worlds is you're always kind of hoping for these introductions. Like on every screening, I hope there's going to be an introduction from everybody: the director, the writer, the composer, you name it. Again, Forbidden Worlds are bending over backwards to get those throughout the year, time and time again. They're in direct contact. If they can make it happen, they will make it happen. If not, it's a shame, but things happen. But usually the in-person introductions by Tessa and Ty and Tony and whoever else is introducing the films have all been great. And I'm glad that we still have those in-person introductions from the team, because those are special. They're funny, they're charming. And they don't have to do that. Forbidden Worlds don't have to do those in-person introductions if they didn't want to, but they do because they love these films. They want to talk about how much they love these films and get you on board with the screening, get you ready, get you prepared for the type of film you're going to see as well. And yeah, there's a lot of humor, a lot of fun to all of the introductions. So I think the whole team, even if they can't get these, the celebrities or the big names, the cast and crew, I think the in-person ones are just as good and just as necessary for the festival and to get the audience warmed up and ready. And they're always good. But yeah, not only do we have Renny Harlin and Yvonne Zima, we also got a very brief introduction, but an introduction nonetheless, from the man Samuel L. Jackson himself. He talked about how cold it was when they filmed, and again they were talking like it was 36 degrees or minus 36 degrees centigrade or whatever Fahrenheit. I don't know temperatures, but yeah, he was talking about that, and again, this is his favorite role. I've talked about it more in depth in another podcast, but this was like his favorite role he'd ever done. He steals the show absolutely every time he's on screen, every line, every delivery, and he's he's against other powerhouses like Brian Cox and Gina Davis. It's an absolute blast of a film. The story, the emotion, the dialogue. Shane Black written script, Renny Harlin directed. There was a bidding war for the script. It was one of the most expensive scripts ever made at the time, or bought at the time. But yeah, excellent, just an excellent film all around. Great blast. But yeah, that's kind of it, guys. Again, if you want to hear more thoughts on The Long Kiss Goodnight, it's about a woman who is an amnesiac, and then slowly she's a teacher, homemaker, and she suddenly realizes she used to be an assassin for the CIA, and that's kind of how it plays out. I'm not a fan of amnesia storylines. I don't mind amnesiacs recovering their memories, But when someone like bangs their head and like, I don't remember anything, I fucking despise that trope. But that's just me again. That's just me. Like Wolverine recovering his memories, that's fine. Harry Osborn losing his memory in Spider-Man 3, I vehemently dislike that sort of soap opera shit. But that's it for me. That is the festival again. Thank you again for listening. Thank you again for Forbidden Worlds for having me on the press team again. I felt so welcome and so jazzed every day. Everyone's so smiley, so positive about everything. It's a great atmosphere, and if you haven't come, if you haven't seen one screening here, if you're even questioning it, I would highly recommend giving it a go. Finding the time, even if it's for a day or a couple of screenings. If you want to see your favorite film on an IMAX screen, if it's on and the festival's showing it, get down, because you'll never. It's an experience that can't be missed. Seeing Long Kiss Goodnight. No matter how many times I've seen it and how many people I've introduced it to and they loved it. It was still a special experience. And, no matter how tired I am, when I'm sat down there and I'm looking at the screen and I'm, again, surviving on a bag of Haribo a day, it just makes it all worth it. All the whatever kind of, however you're feeling, once you're sat down, once you're invested, it's all good. All those kind of things fade away. Those they fall away, and you're just there in the moment, in the film, enjoying just the festival on the whole and everything. I've got a few more interviews with Jojo, a volunteer, and some other audience members as well. So again, I'm going to stick them on the end of this. But just again, thanks for Forbidden Worlds Film Festival having me. And I hope to be back next year. I hope they're happy with my content I've put out. But yeah, it's been a blast. The whole team have just been so nice to me, so polite, so kind, so courteous. And again, I'm fully behind this event, and will do what I can to make sure that it only grows and gets bigger and better and brighter from the future. I see a long and industrious time for this festival. Let's keep it going, keep that runaway train going. There's no stopping it now. So yeah, absolutely. As you know, with me, you can find me at spiderdownthesecretboards.com. All the links will be in the show notes as per usual. Thanks to all my patrons as well. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can do. It's only from £3 a month if you feel like you'd like to, or you want some exclusive content, mostly kind of movie tie-in comic books and expansions on those universes for the most part, or some more kind of interesting kind of DC Marvel crossovers I did recently while I was on holiday. So yeah, lots of kind of stuff. But again, I'm very much. This festival is very much on brand for what I do on the podcast as well. So yeah, it's just superb. So keep up all the good work, Forbidden Worlds, and to all the audience out there, thanks for making me feel part of that wonderful. There's such an inclusivity to this festival, and there's people from all walks of life. Presenting and viewing the films, and everyone is welcome, everyone is accepted, and it's just a wonderful part of the world to be a part of. Again, nothing's forbidden. But as long as you're behaving yourself in the screenings, I feel like you're welcome. But yeah, thank you again. It's been a blast, and hopefully, if I'm not at the big screen, then hopefully you'll see me next year again in May. But thanks again, guys, and enjoy the remaining interviews. Bye. Hello, this is Spider Down at the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2024, and I'm talking to some more audience members who have just come out of the very interesting Devil's Sword. So introduce yourselves and tell us what you thought of the film and the event.
Hi, so I'm Ellie. I love the film, but didn't really know what to expect. Wasn't expecting so many lasers. That took me by surprise. Really good surprise. Surprisingly good female characters, which I didn't expect.
Yeah.
I'm Stu. I loved the film. I did not expect it. I was not expecting some people to want to have sex with a crocodile. That was unexpected, but I'm not against that. That was good. That's
whatever you're into, it's don't yuck anybody else's yum. But have you been to the event before? Is this your first time, or?
Yeah, so we came last year and did a few days. I think last year we did
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. So it was Attack on Precinct 13, stuff like that. So this was a really nice change.
And did you enjoy it as well last year?
I did, yeah. I really enjoyed seeing Starship Troopers. Really enjoyed that one. That was a classic. It's just really good.
Well, I'm asking other people what would they have on their own film festival, but I think you might have your own already.
Yes. So we had our first event in April. So it's called the Bath Archeo Heritage Film Festival. So we actually did an event with Ty and the Bristol Bad Film Club where we showed Caveman.
Oh, right.
A couple of months ago with Ringo Starr, which is really terrible. I recommend. Yeah, so our films were all themed around kind of archaeology and heritage in film, but a lot of rep cinema and silly films like Kautiki the Immortal Monster, bit of Buster Keaton, The Mummy with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee.
That's a good range. I like your programming. It's a good range of stuff. And how did you enjoy that festival?
I really enjoyed it. I was doing object handling outside. So I got to play with like Stone Age axes. So
Oh my God.
just a brilliant time.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'll put all the links and everything in the show notes so people can find it. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. This is Spider Dan at Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2024. I'm here with another one of the volunteers. Introduce yourself and tell us how you got involved.
Hiya, I'm Jojo. I got involved actually because I'm a second year Brighton film student. And I had a placement module. During my placement module, I worked with Anthony, and he does DVD production. So then he hooked me up with volunteering at this festival, which I'd love to get involved in the future because it's been so much fun just seeing all the people and them getting involved with this culture. It's really, really nice.
What is it exactly that you like about it? Is it the vibe? Is it the kind of the range of films? The diversified topics is the word I'm looking for. What is it that kind of drew you?
I think it is the films, but I think the films creates the atmosphere, and I think everyone's here, including me, just to see all these films, and everyone's really passionate about it, and that makes my job easier and nicer, I think. And it's like, it barely feels like I'm working. It feels like I'm just like chatting to people about films and watching them with them. It's really, really lovely.
That's exactly how I feel. Have you had any favourites at all?
Well, I just came out of Time Cop, and I was super into that. I quite like the almost paradoxical, sort of like borderline paradoxical themes in that. But I'm a big fan of 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys is a huge favourite of mine. So that sort of reminded me of that, and that's sort of like the sort of silly but really, really cool, like good moments you can have with time travel in those films. I was really into that.
Another Jean-Claude Van Damme film where he likes to have two versions of himself.
Cheesy one line.
Oh, absolutely. There's never enough time to pleasure a woman, or whatever that line was. But yes, but if you had to have your own film festival, if you had to pick a film to maybe go into this festival and the kind of theming, what would you pick?
It's annoying because like my favorite films aren't in this genre, but I do love like horror and like body horror and a lot of like thrillers and stuff. I just did like an essay on like Alien. I'm really, really into that sort of stuff. Oh, I don't know. I think I'd have to say, I think in this theme of I'll stick to this theme because otherwise we're here all day. But this is sort of a film where I quite like it because it has elements of body horror and also a bit of folk horror in there. It's probably American Werewolf in London. I would have American Werewolf in London. I watch that film any day of the week. I love that film. Yeah. Jenny Agutter as well.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. But yeah. Thank you very much. It's been great.
Thank you.